Hey guys, it's MMA Vulture coming at you live with the UFC Macau, Yan versus Figueiredo betting breakdown, as well as my full card picks. And let's jump right into it with the first bout of the night being Maheshate versus Nikolas Motta. And in this one, I am on Hayasar. I think that he is going to beat Motta. I think that he's more technical, whereas you have Nikolas Motta, who is a powerhouse with that devastating knockout power. He's very slick and technical on the feet, but I think that he kind of sometimes overextends and tries to go for the finish, leading him to getting clipped and getting countered. In which Nikolas Motta is obviously coming off of the win where he looked great against Tom Nolan, knocking him out in dominant fashion. Then the no contest with Trey Ogden. Then the loss to Manuel Torres, who took that loss in his previous bout, and that really didn't age well for Motta. Then the win over Cameron Van Camp where he knocked him out. So really, it's Nikolas Motta who's very inconsistent, to be completely honest. He gets chinned, chins somebody, gets chin somebody. So he is very chinny. He overextends. He has a lot of holes in his game. And I think Hayasar is a very skilled fighter that's up and coming. He's young. He's learning. He's progressing every single time he gets into a fight. He's learning and just developing into a really good, highly skilled fighter, in which I think he's going to beat Nikolas Motta. Nikolas Motta had a little bit of hype early on, but now I just think that Hayasar is coming up. Yes, he has the win in his last fight against Gabriella Benitez and looked good in doing so. It was a split decision, very close fight. Then we have the loss to Borishev where he got knocked out, which isn't really the best look, to be completely honest. And then the loss against Rafa Garcia, who is a great fighter and is very highly skilled as well. So not a bad loss there. Then you have the win over Steve Garcia, dominant fashion, counter right hand. I'm telling you, Hayasar has very good counter punching abilities. He's got good kicks from the outside. He's got quick, clean combinations. He mixes it up to the body and to the head very well. I am going with Hayasar to beat Nikolas Motta. I think it's going to be a very back and forth battle, but I think we're going to see Hayasar be the better overall fighter all around. I think he's more technical. The explosive side has to go to Nikolas Motta, but I think the skill-wise is going to be on the Hayasar side, and I think he's going to get it done. I think it's going to be a very close 29-28 in which Hayasar gets the W. And let's look at the odds here, in which Hayasar sitting at a -200 and Motta sitting at a +170. I like Hayasar. I really think that he gets it done. He's a young prospect that's up and coming, that has been up against very good competition, has been consistently getting better and progressing. So I got to go with him. I think he beats Nikolas Motta, who is a powerhouse, but sucks at putting himself in positions to really use that power to his best abilities. Over 1.5 sitting at a -190, under 1.5 sitting at a +160. I think this goes over. I really think that this goes to the scorecards. I think Hayasar gets the better of Nikolas Motta, 29-28, like I said. And let's run it up to the next fight on this card, which is Long Xiao versus Quang Lei. And I am going with Long Xiao in this one over Quang Lei. It's a very interesting battle here. I mean, you have Quang Lei, who's coming off of the loss to Chris Gutierrez in his UFC debut, which is, take with a grain of salt. Yes, he lost by unanimous decision, but I mean, Quang Lei is a great, great fighter going up against one of the older fighters in the UFC, and Chris Gutierrez, who is a dog. I mean, he's 25-2, as you guys can see on the screen. He is an animal. And Quang Lei did have some moments in that fight. It's not like it was all Chris Gutierrez. I get it, he won unanimous decision, but there was some moments from Quang Lei. He had control of Chris Gutierrez on the ground at times. I mean, he had some moments of his own in that fight. I will give him props. Then you have the fights in Dang, who he got a left hook knockout on, then another knockout on Cody Peterson via head kick in the LFA. I mean, dude, he's gone up against some good competition. Yes, Obviously, it's the LFA. They have good competition over there. Maybe not, obviously, 4-3, 6-3, but still getting the better of these opponents. LFA is one of the better promotions. Then we go on to Long Xiao, who's coming off of the loss against Chang Ho Lee in the road to UFC and looked good in that fight. He had moments of his own as well against Chang Ho Lee and looked good in there. He has good striking. He likes to strike from the outside. He has quick, stiff jab. He mixes up his combinations really well. He's got the snappy leg kicks, high and low. He's got decent grappling with good takedown defense. I think Long Xiao will be able to use that grappling in this fight. I think he's going to be able to take down Quang Lei. I really feel as though Long Xiao will get the better of Quang Lei. I think that he's gone up against great opponents. I think that he's also been tested against higher competition, in my personal opinion. You have Shui Kuimbo, and then you have Shoei Nose, and then you have Shamiti. I mean, he's gone up against people that have good, that are good competitors and have a lot of fights under their belt. 9-6, then you have 10-3-2, so they're very high level competition. I mean, it's the road to UFC. Then you have over here Chris Gutierrez, who is another high competition in the UFC. So this is going to be an absolute banger in the sense that these two are going to go to war. I think that Long Xiao has the grappling advantage. I think that in terms of striking, it's going to be fairly close. I mean, Quang Lei is a very good striker. So in terms of striking, very close. I think Long Xiao will be able to use that grappling advantage of his and find success, take down Quang Lei, get some control time, and beat him. I think it's going to be very close. Like I said, let's look at the odds here on this fight, in which Long Xiao sitting at a -122, Quang Lei sitting at a +102. So the odds are fairly close in this battle. I like Long Xiao. I think that he finds a way to win against Quang Lei. I think he also is going to use that grappling advantage of his and take down Quang Lei. I think on the feet it's going to be fairly close, but I think that Long Xiao gets the better of him, maintains control of him, garners that control time, peppers him with shots. I think that this goes the distance, and I think over 2.5 is a money call at -200. Under 2.5 at +160. I think this goes to decision just like the first one. I think we got two great fighters on both sides that are competitive, very tough, durable fighters. Give me Long Xiao to beat Quang Lei via decision. And let's go ahead and run it up to the next fight on this card in Loner Kavanagh versus Jose Ochoa. And this is an absolute fucking banger of a fight. I don't know about y'all, but this is literally two of the highest level prospects going up against each other in an absolute war. This is going to be phenomenal. You have Loner Kavanagh, which is who I'm going with on this in this fight. I think Loner Kavanagh is a absolute savage with quick hands. He has that knockout power. He's got snappy kicks high and low. I mean, he mixes it up very well in every aspect. He has good grappling. He has solid takedowns. He has good takedown defense. I mean, he is a check all the boxes type of fighter. Loner Kavanagh is phenomenal. He is coming off of that UFC debut in the Contender Series where he knocked out Antoine Ho in devastating fashion. It was absolutely nasty. And I'm pretty sure all of us remember that shit. It was disgusting. And then he had the win over De Silva, 6-0, took his O. Sacrano took his O. Ander Sanchez, obviously 1-0, but still took his O. Like, he's been up against some people with very good skill and taking their O's. I think he's going to take Jose Ochoa's O, but I don't think that this is going to be an easy fight by any means. Jose Ochoa is a slick, technical fighter. He is dominant. I mean, he is a absolute savage. He trains with the likes of Oliveira, Diego Lima. I mean, he is out of shoot boxing. He's an absolute savage with good striking, devastating power. Not only that, he mixes up his shots to the head and to the body very, very well. He's got those kicks that are devastating. Not only that, he's got the tricky submissions and ground game as well. He's a well-rounded fighter just like Loner Kavanagh. This is going to be one of the better fights on this card. I am telling you guys, this is an absolute savage fight right here. Jose Ochoa coming off of the win against Pantoja, who was 5-0, getting the Anaconda choke in dominant fashion, looked good on the ground. Then you have him against Pereira, who he knocked out with the left straight. and look good doing so. I get that Pereira 4-4, not the best fighting career. Then you have a no contest, the knockout over Franklin Griffo. So, I mean, Jose Ochoa has the knockout power, just like Loner Kavanagh. They're both very technical, very good strikers. And I just think that this is going to be an absolute war in which Loner Kavanagh gets the better of Jose Ochoa. I also feel like Loner Kavanagh is a little bit more powerful in terms of striking. I think that he has more knockout power than Jose Ochoa, but that takes nothing from him. Jose Ochoa has knockout power as well. This is going to be an absolute dominant fight in which, or not dominant fight, an absolute banger fight in which Loner Kavanagh gets the better of Jose Ochoa. Two amazing prospects going at it. And let's look at the odds here, in which Loner Kavanagh is sitting at a negative 360. Jose Ochoa is sitting at a plus 285. I like Loner Kavanagh. Now, looking at the odds, I'm going to be completely honest. I think that they're honestly too wide. I really feel as though Jose Ochoa is a very good fighter. I feel as though he should be in the like plus 200, plus 190 range, somewhere around there. Plus 285 is a little bit too much for him, to be completely honest. These are two fighters who are both prospects, both on the come up, both highly skilled in every aspect of the fight game. And it's going to be an absolute banger brawl in which Loner Kavanagh walks away with the W, 29-28. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 185, under 1.5 sitting at a plus 155. I like the over 1.5, but I will caution in that because Loner Kavanagh has knockout power, so does Jose Ochoa. And I think Loner Kavanagh could catch Jose Ochoa. And let's go ahead and run it up to the next fight on this card in Carlos Hernandez versus Tumendemberel. Dude, I can't even say it. Nyamjargal versus Carlos Hernandez. I am going with Carlos Hernandez over Nyamjargal. I think that he gets the better of him. I get that Carlos Hernandez hasn't been looking the best as of lately, but I just can't go with somebody like Nyamjargal who I just don't believe in yet. I just really need to see how he fares against UFC caliber fighters, in which he's going up against somebody who hasn't been looking the greatest as of lately in Carlos Hernandez, given that Carlos Hernandez has gone up against great competition. You have Ray Turaya, who is 9-0, absolute phenomenal, highly skilled fighter. Then you have Tatsu Taita, who just lost to Brandon Royval, but again, one of the best of the best, top of the top in the division, and still out there putting on a show and still going to battle with him. I really think that if we look at Carlos Hernandez versus Nyamjargal, I really think that Carlos Hernandez will win. He already won against Bondar, looked phenomenal in that fight, won against Victor Altamirano, looked good on that fight. Yes, obviously, with the step up in competition, Carlos Hernandez has struggled a little bit, but again, he's gone up against one of the highest skilled fighters in the division in Tatsu Taita. Then you have back-to-back in Rei Tatsuro, and I really think that he's going to get it done here. I think striking-wise, I think it's going to be fairly close in terms of striking. I think that they're very high-skilled on both sides in terms of striking, very technical on both sides, very good footwork on both sides. I think in terms of grappling, I think Carlos Hernandez will be able to land some takedowns and garner some control time. That is where why I'm going with Carlos Hernandez. I think that he will be able to garner some control time, be able to maintain Nyamjargal on the ground, find success. Not only that, in the striking department, obviously he has to watch out for Nyamjargal in terms of knockout power and slickness, but I think that he's still going to be able to fare well in the striking department and put on a show. Give me Carlos Hernandez to beat Nyamjargal, who, again, beat Petr Danzo via submission, won against Top Noi in split decision in the road to UFC, and had another win over in Gladiator. He hasn't been up against the best competition, 15-10, mediocre fighter in Masai Kai Wantambi. Then you have road to UFC, 9-4, known not to have the greatest competition, to be completely honest, in the road to UFC. I'm going to keep it a buck. They don't have the highest skilled versus you go to UFC Contender Series. I think they're a lot more skilled than the road to UFC. Then you have Petr, where, I mean, he's been dominantly putting these guys away, but again, I don't believe Road to UFC is anywhere with the likes in terms of skills and everything, even to the Contender Series, like I was saying. So him going against Carlos Hernandez in his UFC not UFC debut, but in his next fight, I really think that Carlos Hernandez is going to be too much for him. Yes, Carlos Hernandez is mediocre, but has been up against the best fighters. I think he gets it done against Nyamjargal in a very close-fought battle. I think on the feet, very close. On the ground, it's definitely going to favor Carlos Hernandez. And let's look at the odds here, in which Carlos Hernandez sitting at a negative 210, Nyamjargal sitting at a plus 180. I think Carlos Hernandez gets the better of Nyamjargal. I think he's slicker, more technical on the feet. I think that Nyamjargal is going to be looking for that knockout finish. Not only that, I feel as though Carlos Hernandez has the clear-cut grappling advantage. I think that he's going to be able to find takedowns, make those level changes, have success in taking Nyamjargal down, and maintaining control. Give me Carlos Hernandez to beat Nyamjargal over 2.5, sitting at a negative 170. I think it goes over 2.5. I think this goes the distance, and I think Carlos Hernandez beats Nyamjargal. I think the step up in competition is going to be too much for Nyamjargal, to be completely honest with you. And let's run it up to the next fight on this card in Feng versus Ming in this tournament series for the Road to UFC. Not tournament series, but you get what I'm saying. Road to UFC championship series for all these next three couple of bouts, in which we have Feng versus Ming, and I'm going with Feng. I think that in terms of competition, she's faced way better competition. She's also very slick in the striking department, very technical. She's got the knockout power. She's got phenomenal footwork. I think that she's all around better than Ming. Ming is a good fighter, obviously coming off a 4-fight win streak against Dong, 12-2, looked good in the road to UFC. Yang Desam, who she looked good against as well, taking the unanimous decision. Then you have the submission finish over Luro, who doesn't even have any fighting experience, as you guys see here, and she won. Same thing. She's going up against competition that just isn't up to par with UFC level competition. She has the wins in the road to UFC, but like I've been saying this entire video, they're not the highest skilled, even compared to the Contender Series. Then you have Feng on the other side, who beat Montono, yes, road to UFC as well, KO'd Kiran. I mean, she's finishing these people and looking good in the road to UFC, whereas you have split decision and decisions on the Ming side. She's not a finisher. She doesn't have that X factor that I believe Feng has. I think that Feng is going to be the better striker in terms of grappling, fairly close. I think Feng gets the better in terms of striking department. I think she picks apart Ming, overwhelms her, finds success, maybe even mixes in a little bit of takedowns, and finds success. Give me Feng to beat Ming. I really feel as though she's the better all-around fighter over Ming. I think that she has ridiculous head movement as well as footwork. She's very, very skilled. And let's go ahead and look at the odds on this fight, in which we have Feng sitting at a negative 325, Ming sitting at a plus 250. I think Feng definitely has the clear-cut striking advantage. I think that in terms of grappling, it's going to be fairly close, but I think Feng has that X factor that Ming doesn't. I really do. I think she's got great head movement, phenomenal footwork. She's just very highly skilled. Give me Feng to beat Ming over 2.5, sitting at a negative 400, under 2.5, sitting at a plus 300. I think this goes the distance. I think it goes to the scorecards. I think 29-28 for Feng, who has that X factor and will win. And let's run it up to the next Road to UFC championship in Kira Sahota versus DongHun Choi. I am on the DongHun Choi side. I think that he's a great up-and-coming prospect that is an absolute savage, an absolute dog. I mean, he's on an 8-fight win streak. He's unbeaten. He had Engad Bishat, who looked absolutely jacked, absolutely yoked, looked like he was going to beat the crap out of DongHun Choi in their fight. But no, DongHun Choi locked in, found the split decision, in which it was a very, very close split decision. Beat Engad Bishat, looked dominant, looked absolutely savage in that fight, striking-wise. He had a quick, stiff jab. He mixed up his shots very, very well. He's got powerful hooks. I mean, dude, DongHun Choi has fantastic striking abilities. Grappling-wise, he's pretty well in that department too. I think DongHun Choi beats Kira Sahota. He beat, like I said, Anghad, beat Jinsui, beat Noshori Wada, beat Kubo, my bad. Mixed up the first and last name, but he looked good in every single one of those fights. Absolute savage, I'm telling you. He is going to beat Kiru, who does, I will say this, have a insane reach and height advantage. 5 inches in height, insane amount of reaches in the reach department, like 4 or 5 inches in the reach department. Insane. Like, absolutely insane. So I know that, like, going off that with the reach and height advantage, you're going to be like, oh, I got to go with Kiru Soto because he's fantastic with maintaining distance, keeping his opponent at bay, kind of striking from the outside, using his kicks from the outside, and beating his opponents. But no, I think DongHun Choi is going to be able to enter and exit the pocket with ease. I think he's going to be a lot quicker and very explosive and be able to tag up Kiru Sahota. And inside that kind of red zone, the close distance, I feel as though Sahota kind of lacks and kind of struggles in that distance-wise, in which I think DongHun Choi will be able to land some nasty elbows, some nasty knees in that inside boxing type of range. I think DongHun Choi gets the better of Kiru Sahota, who has been looking good as of lately. He got the win over Raul in that fight in the road to UFC, then the win over Shai Yin in a split decision, looked phenomenal striking, grappling-wise. Then you have the Daniel Mission over in BMF, obviously mediocre fighter right there. I just think that DongHun Choi is going to be better in the striking department. I think that it's going to be a fairly close fight between these two, in which DongHun Choi overwhelms him, picks him apart, finds success striking-wise, and finds some level changes and mixes it up, maintains control of him, and finds that 29-28 victory over Kiru Sahota. Let's go, DongHun Choi. And DongHun Choi is sitting at a negative 136, whereas Sahota sitting at a plus 116, fairly close in odds, which I understand. I mean, Sahota has that huge reach advantage, and it kind of plays into his strengths in the sense that he likes to strike from the outside, likes to kick from the outside. That's just how he likes to fight. So it does play into his strengths, I will say that. So I do believe that if you're on the Sahota side, definitely it's live. I mean, both sides are live, but I just think that Choi will be able to enter and exit the pocket, be able to be the quicker, more explosive fighter, find success in entering and exiting the pocket, maybe even finding some level changes and taking down Sahota and maintaining control. Give me DongHun Choi to beat Sahota, sitting at a negative 136. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 260. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 200. I think this goes over. I think Choi beats Sahota via decision. And let's run it up to the next fight on this card in the next Road to UFC Championship between Su Young Yu versus Balgian Jensuli. And I am going with Balgian Jensuli over Su Young Yo. Su Young Yo is a great grappler that knows how to control you when he gets you down to the ground, knows how to make you uncomfortable, knows how to advance positions very well. He's got strong takedowns. He's got tricky submissions. I mean, Young Yu, if you want to call it, is very good in the grappling department. In terms of striking, I feel as though he kind of lacks in the striking department. He's a decent striker with a stiff jab. He mixes up his shots fairly well. Take that with a grain of salt. And I feel as though Balgian is the better striker, for sure. He's a lot more technical, a lot quicker. He's got clean, quick combinations. He's got the stiff jab. He's got the kicks to go along with it, high and low. Not only that, he has relatively good grappling with good takedown defense. I just feel as though in every aspect, I think Balgian is better. I think in terms of submissions, yes, Young Yu will have trickier submissions, but I think Balgian will be able to fare well in the grappling department in the sense that I think that he has quicker transitions than Sung Yo. And not only that, I feel as though the striking gap is very wide. I think Balgian will be able to outstrike Sung Young Yu in terms of grappling fairly close, but give me Balgian to beat Sung Young Yu in the striking department as well as the grappling department. Have some success there. Yes, I do see Sung Young Yu landing some takedowns, but I think Balgian is very good at exploding back to his feet and creating that space with his legs to get out of the control of his opponent. Give me Balgian Jensuli. And let's go ahead and look at the odds here. In Balgian Jensuli sitting at a negative, or is this a Jusuli sitting at a plus 130 over Sung Young's Yu sitting at a negative 150, which is actually very surprising to me. I get that Sung Yu does have great grappling skills. I mean, I understand that, but I think Jensuli will still be able to fare well in the grappling department. I don't think that it's a very wide gap like they're suggesting. And I think that in terms of striking, I think there's a fairly wide gap. I think Jensuli is a lot better of a striker than Sung Young Yu, to be completely honest. Plus 130 for Jensuli. Sung Young Yu sitting at a negative 150. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 170. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 140. Give me Jensuli to end this early against Su Young So. And let's go ahead and move it to the next fight on this card in Ozzy Diaz versus Miang Zhang. And I am going with Miang Zhang. He is an absolute fucking savage in terms of striking. He's very technical. He's got devastating knockout power. He's got good footwork. He mixes up his shots very, very well. I mean, he's coming off of multiple win streak in which he knocked out Brennison Ribeiro. I thought Brennison Ribeiro was going to beat him, to be completely honest, in this fight. No. I was completely fucking wrong. Miang Zhang is a dog, an absolute savage. Has the win over Tukos Tokos in the road to UFC. Then the win over Chung Sang Ho, who we got the knockout over. He is a absolute savage, a knockout artist. I think that Miang Zhang is going to be a lot more technical than Ozzy Diaz. I think that in terms of striking-wise, it's got to go to Miang Zhang. I get that Ozzy Diaz has decent striking and nice snappy leg kicks, but I think Miang Zhang beats Ozzy Diaz. Ozzy Diaz beat Balvin Lewis in his previous bout, knocking him out in the LFA. Then the knockout over Chalk Campbell. I'm going to be completely honest. He is making his UFC debut against an absolute dog, an absolute savage in Miang Zhang. I don't see Ozzy Diaz being able to keep up with this pace of Miang Zhang. I think Miang Zhang knocks him the fuck out, to be completely honest. I think Ozzy Diaz has never faced a competitor of this caliber in Miang Zhang, and I think it's going to end devastatingly. Give me Miang Zhang to knock out Ozzy Diaz. And let's look at the odds here, in which Miang Zhang sitting at a negative 280 and Osman Diaz sitting at a plus 240. Telling you, I think Miang Zhang definitely has the clear-cut advantage in terms of every aspect here, to be completely honest. I think that he's UFC caliber, whereas Ozzy Diaz is making his UFC debut, and I don't believe he's UFC caliber, to be completely honest. He's been up against some mediocre competition. Yes, he's finishing them, but again, they're mediocre competition. He's coming into the UFC debut against somebody who is a legit contender, an absolute dog with knockout power, and is very technical. Give me Miang Zhang to knock out Osman Diaz. Under 1.5 is looking juicy at negative 245, whereas over 1.5 setting at a plus 195. I think Zhang gets the knockout finish over Ozzy Diaz here. And let's run it up to the next fight on this card in Volkan Oezdemir versus Carlos Ulberg for the main card opener. And this is an absolute banger fight here. You have Volkan Oezdemir, who is very technical, very good in terms of striking, has the knockout power, has a clean, quick jab. He mixes it up very, very well. Volkan Oezdemir is no slouch and no bum. I'm just going to go with Carlos Ulberg because he's just a shit ton better in the sense that he is super slick on the feet. He has the devastating knockout power. He's got the footwork. And I feel as though every time Volkan Oezdemir is up against somebody, they're a lot slower and just don't have the footwork that Carlos Ulberg has to be able to maneuver and get out of range of Volkan Oezdemir and not let him kind of rush him and blitz him in a sense. I think Carlos Ulberg will be able to beat Volkan Oezdemir. I mean, he's coming off of the knockout over Alonzo Menafield, then the win over Dongwang Zhang via submission, then the win over Iho Paterio via knockout. He has a legit knockout power. He's an absolute beast in this division. I think Volkan Oezdemir is no slouch. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be a very tough competitive fight, but I think Carlos Ulberg is more technical, has more power. Not only that, has the footwork to be able to get out of range from Volkan Oezdemir and be able to tag him up himself and strike from the outside, because he also has a 2-inch reach advantage. I got to go with Carlos Ulberg. Everything is suggesting Carlos Ulberg because he's a lot more technical, has a knockout power, he's got the great footwork. I think he beats Volkan Oezdemir. Volkan Oezdemir thrives in a brawl and thrives when somebody is kind of pushing the pace and pushing forward towards him. I think Carlos Ulberg is a little bit too patient, too calculated, and will find that knockout shot on Volkan Oezdemir. Give me Carlos Ulberg to beat Volkan Oezdemir, and let's look at the odds on here, in which Volkan Oezdemir sitting at a plus 205 and Carlos Ulberg sitting at a negative 240. I think Carlos Ulberg is a lot more technical, finds a knockout shot, and wipes Volkan Oezdemir off of the fight. Over 1.5 sitting at a negative 160, under 1.5 sitting at a plus 130. I think Volkan Oezdemir is going to lose this here. He's a great, highly skilled fighter, but I think Carlos Ulberg is a lot better in terms of striking, in terms of knockout power. I think he finds the knockout shot and beats Volkan Oezdemir. And let's run it up to the next fight on the main card in Wang versus Gabriel Fernandes. And I am going with Wang over Gabriel Fernandes. The Joker is back. She put on an absolutely dominant performance over Victoria Leonardo, getting a a right hook finish on her early in the fight. Then Paula Luana getting a submission finish. Wang is an absolute savage. She is very good in terms of grappling wise. In terms of striking, she's very good. She's a check all the boxes type of fighter is what I'm trying to say. She's got a quick stiff jab. She's got the snappy high and low kicks. She mixes up her shots very well. She's got strong takedowns. She maintains control of you when she gets you down. She advances position when she gets you down. She's a very highly skilled fighter. That is why I'm going with Wang. I think she gets rid of Gabriel Fernandes, who is no slouch. She's a good fighter, too. She's coming off of a win against Carly Judas, where she got the split decision win over. And I just think that Gabriel Fernandes is going to lose. I think that she doesn't have the skill that Wang has, is what I'm trying to say. She's got good striking. She lost to Teresa Blida in UFC via unanimous decision, and Jasmine Jasdavicius, which Jasmine Jasdavicius, take that with a grain of salt. She's a very highly skilled prospect in the UFC. So take that with a grain of salt. But Gabriella Fernandes just, to me, doesn't seem like she has the X factor that Wang has. She has good striking. She's got the stiff, quick jab. She mixes up her shots fairly well. But I just think that when we look at skill for skill, opponent for opponent, I'm going with Wang, who has just time and time again showed that she can outperform and just outwork her opponents and just pick them the fuck apart. Give me Wang to pick apart Gabriel Fernandes, who, in my opinion, isn't really the UFC person to stop Wang, to be completely honest. And let's look at the odds on this, in which Wang sitting at a negative 800, Gabriel Fernandes sitting at a plus 550. I agree with these odds, maybe fairly a little bit wide, but not terrible in the sense that I believe Wang definitely beats Gabriel Fernandes. I think if we look at it style for style, Wang has the better style, has the better opponents, higher caliber opponents. Not only that, has time and time again has showed that she can beat the best of them, pick them apart, outwork them, and put on a pace that they just can't handle and finish them. Give me Wang to beat Gabriel Fernandes. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 161. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 131. I think it goes under. I think Wang finds a way to finish Gabriel Fernandes. And let's go ahead and move it to the next fight on this main card in Kenan Song versus Muslim Salikhov. I am going with Salikhov over Kenan Song. Kenan Song is coming off of the win against Ricky Glenn and not the knockout loss. That was way earlier. The loss to Kevin Jousset in dominant fashion. And I just have to go with Muslim Salikhov coming off of the win against Santiago Punsimba, where he looked good. He looked dominant. He had a lot of good moments in that fight. Yes, he lost to Randy Brown, who is a very slick striker on the feet. I mean, dude, take that one with a grain of salt. Nicolas Dalby, again, a very high-level prospect. I think, if we're going to be completely honest, I think Salikhov will beat Kenan Song. I think Kenan Song is a good fighter with good strikes. He's got the long, stiff jab. He's got the snappy low and high kicks. I just feel as though Muslim Salikhov will have a clear-cut grappling advantage. Not only that, he's got good striking to go with his grappling. He maintains control of you when he gets you down. He's got solid takedowns. He advances positions. And not only that, he's got good striking with the long, stiff jab. He's got the quick, clean combinations. I think Muslim Salikhov is just going to be better than Kenan Song. I think Kenan Song has not looked the best as of lately, has been looking a little bit awkward and clunky on the feet. Yes, he still is a great striker with knockout power, but I just think Muslim Salikhov is going to be too much for him. Muslim Salikhov is going to put on a pace and just outperform, outwork Kenan Song and make him uncomfortable, break him down, and beat him. I think Salikhov finds a way to beat Kenan Song, and I think he does it in dominant fashion, to be completely honest. And let's look at the odds here, in which Salikhov sitting at a -162, Kenan Song sitting at a +142. I like Salikhov. I think that he has a clear-cut grappling advantage. I think in terms of striking, it's going to be close, but I think that Salikhov finds a way to win, mixes in those level changes, finds success, and maintains control of Kenan Song on the ground. Give me Muslim Salikhov to beat Kenan Song. Over 2.5 sitting at a -160, under 2.5 sitting at a +130. I think this fight goes over, and I think Salikhov beats him via decision. And let's run it up to the co-main event of the evening in Xiaonan Yan versus Tabatha Ricci. And this is a very interesting one that I was going back and forth on for so fucking long. And I am going with Tabatha Ricci over Xiaonan Yan, which is very surprising to many of you probably, but I think Tabatha Ricci has the skills to beat Xiaonan Yan, who has showed that she has holes in her game. Time and time again, she showed that she has holes in her game. She has the loss to Weili Zhang, who, again, take that with a grain of salt. She's the belt holder, an absolute fucking savage. Then she has the win over Jessica Andrade. Great win right there. Knocking her out by a counter right hand. Great win. Mackenzie Dern, great win again. Some crafty fighters and took some solid W's over them. Then the loss to Marina Rodriguez, which isn't the best look, just saying. Then you have Carla Esperanza, who knocked her out. I think Tabatha Ricci could get this done here. I think Tabatha Ricci is a very solid striker with quick, clean combinations. She's got that jab. She's got very good counter-punching abilities. I think Tabatha Ricci could get it done here. She's also a very good grappler with solid takedown defense, with good ground and pound. She also knows how to maintain control of you. I got to go with the Tabatha Ricci side. I mean, she's coming off a win against Angela Hill, which she looked dominant in. Then the win over Tisha Pennington, which I get was a split decision, but I think Tabatha Ricci showed that she had moments in there and definitely pulled off the W. Lupita Godinez, not the best look, but again, take that with a grain of salt. You have Gillian Robertson. Tabatha Ricci has gone out there and been up against some very, very good competition. This is a step up in competition, I will say that. It's a little bit of a step up in competition, but I think that she has the skills to beat Xiaonan Yan. I really do. I think that in terms of striking, it's going to be fairly close. Obviously, Xiaonan Yan has some deadly knockout power. I'm not gonna push that to the side. She's got some deadly power. She's got some great hand, some quick, clean combinations. I mean, she mixes it up very, very well on the Xiaonan Yan side. Not going to discredit that. In terms of grappling, I feel as though she kind of lacks in the grappling department. She has decent grappling with all right takedown defense. I got to go with Tabatha Ricci. I think she finds a way to beat Xiaonan Yan. I think on the feet, it's going to be very close, in which I'm going to give Yanin the advantage in the striking department, but I think it's still very close in terms of skill. I think in terms of grappling, I think Tabatha Ricci has the obvious grappling advantage. I think she's going to use that. I think she's going to use the level changes, find success in those level changes, take down Xiaonan Yan, find some ground and pound, and beat Xiaonan Yan. Give me Tabatha Ricci over Xiaonan Yan, and let's look at these odds here, in which Xiaonan sitting at a negative 200. Tabatha Ricci sitting at a plus 170. So fairly close odds, but I'm going to go with Tabatha Ricci here. I really feel as though she's going to be the better fighter. Xiaonan has holes in her game, and I think Tabatha Ricci is a perfect person to exploit them. Yes, it's a step up in competition, but I think she has the skills to do it. Give me Tabatha Ricci over Xiaonan. Over 2.5 sitting at a negative 425. Under 2.5 sitting at a plus 325. Give me the over. I think Tabatha Ricci beats Yan via decision. And let's move to the main event of the evening. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. And let's jump right into this main event of Petr Yan versus Deiveson Figueiredo. And I am going with Petr Yan over Deiveson Figueiredo. I think Petr Yan is a very, very highly skilled fighter. I mean, same with the Deiveson Figueiredo side. I mean, you can't say he's not highly skilled. But Petr Yan coming off of the win against Song Yadong in dominant fashion. Then the losses to Merab, who's the current champ now. Sean O'Malley, who was the former current champ. And then Aljamain Sterling, who is another former champ. I mean, Petr Yan has time and time again been up against champions back to back to back and has put on a show. Yes, he's losing, but he is still up there in terms of skills and everything with the best of the best. Deiveson Figueiredo on the other side, coming off of a win against Marlon Vera, who lost to Sean O'Malley, and then Cody Garbrandt, submission finish, very impressive. But Cody Garbrandt hasn't really been up there with the best of them for a decent while now. Then you have Rob Font, which is a great decision win over. I think that this is going to be an absolute banger fight in which these two absolutely go back and forth. In terms of striking, it's going to be fairly close. In terms of grappling, I think it's fairly close in there too. I really think that Petr Yan does have the grappling advantage. In terms of striking, I think Deiveson Figueiredo is a little bit slicker and on the feet and moves his head a little bit more. I think Petr Yan will find success in striking and grappling in the sense that Petr Yan not only will he keeps his hands kind of high, I think that he's going to be able to use that jab, find Deiveson Figueiredo, find that range early, pick him apart, use those quick, clean combinations to land on Figueiredo. Not only that, I feel as though he is going to use that grappling advantage of his, find success in taking down Deiveson Figueiredo. I think he's going to put on this pace and pressure that really helps him find those level changes and finds the success in the grappling department and takes down Figueiredo and maintains control of him. Yes, Figueiredo has some deadly submissions, but so does Yan. Yan is no slouch in the grappling game and definitely has some good striking. I think this is going to be an absolute war between these two in which Petr Yan gets the W over Deiveson Figueiredo in a very close battle. I think that everywhere this goes, it's going to be really close. I think striking-wise, they're going to be fairly close in terms of striking. And even grappling-wise, I think it's going to be fairly close in terms of grappling. But I think Petr Yan will get the better of Figueiredo. I really do. And let's look at the odds here, in which Petr Yan sitting at a negative 350, Figueiredo sitting at a plus 285. I think the odds should definitely be closer. I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's going to be a very, very close back-and-forth war between these two, in which Petr Yan gets the better of Deiveson Figueiredo. I mean, he's been up against the better competition steadily. This is a little bit of a step up in competition for Figueiredo, who has been up against Marlon Vera, Cody Garbrandt, which are still highly skilled fighters. But yeah, Petr Yan going up against literally back-to-back former champions in Merab, Sean O'Malley, Aljamain Sterling, and still putting on a show with them, still having moments in those fights with them, and still looking good. Give me Petr Yan to beat Deiveson Figueiredo. Over 4.5 setting at a negative 170, under 4.5 setting at a plus 140. I think that this goes under 4.5, and I think Petr Yan ends it early. Give me Petr Yan to beat Deiveson Figueiredo. And if you guys haven't, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace!